Jan, can you tell us what you found when you came to Walsh and what made you decide that you had to look for a reading intervention program for your kids?
Sure. I came to Olsh 3 years ago, and I arrived at a school that was utilizing approaches to help children with learning difficulties, but there was nothing specific. It was a bit of a hodgepodge and it wasn't consistent. Maybe it was one time a week these kids were being supported,
Hmm.
twice a week, three times at the most. But what I found was that there was about 80% of the children that were identified were having reading difficulties, not specifically identified with dyslexia, but they were having strugglings with that decoding skills, spelling,
Yeah.
language, some language difficulties as well. And so we wanted to find a program that would meet these children's needs. Now, there were children, about 10 of them were identified with special needs and had an IEP. But how about for those children, those 50 children who didn't qualify? Um, they just didn't have enough of a discrepancy with that number that they just didn't qualify for extra funding. But still, we're going to support these kids. Our goal was to get these kids, third term transition identified and help them. So it's a prevention, not a remediation.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, as I got looking, we have 8 beautiful ISAs. They were not trained,
Mhm.
but I saw their capabilities,
Yeah. And
and I
ISAs,
was
just to be clear, they're teacher aides or school education officers. Yeah.
right there. That's right. They're teacher aides, like ISAs here, and just great intention, passionate about teaching, creative, motivated, but lacked direction. At the time, they were mostly in the classroom, listening to the teacher present the lesson, and then would support the child through accommodations in the classroom.
Right.
But yeah, more through accommodations.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
not a
So
specific
a
reading
bit more of a
program.
band-aid approach, so helping them with
Right.
what was going on in the classroom rather than actually intervening and working on the skills that were the problem. Yeah.
Correct, correct,
Okay.
correct, correct. So as I got looking, I looked at, it feels like hundreds of programs, but it was quite a few. And looking at the research that's currently out, whether it's Dr. Shaywitz, I guess she has a lot out on the approaches from Yale
Sally,
University. And look,
Sally Shaywitz from Yale.
Sally, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. And looking at all the research that's come from Britain and finding what works for these kids. Well, we see it's a synthetic approach, meaning I guess a bottom up approach, and how to help
Yeah.
these kids. So um, I was directed to understanding words through a parent who has a child with diagnosed through you with dyslexia, and I looked at the program and along with other programs, and I found this program to be comprehensive, structured, systematic, and multisensory, which is, the seeing, hearing, writing,
Sure. Yep.
saying, listening, that kind of thing. I just love the format. I covered not just decoding, but it covered comprehension and reading, language, phonemic awareness, of course, for those early years. Since our school is K4, that's a vital component.
Okay.
And understanding words did that. And we've used it now for 3 years, and I've been thrilled. And we've all
Okay.
been really happy with it.
So it kind of covered uh, a lot of different areas. So certainly it has a very big focus on the word level reading and spelling skills, but also has focus
That's
on
right.
comprehension and oral language skills, and particularly in the second edition, which you'll be getting soon,
Oh,
it has
excellent.
even more of a focus on those oral language skills, which have pretty much been a forgotten part of instruction, I think, for a time. It sort of went through a period where there was lots of focus on word level skills and not so much on oral language, which we all know is
Right,
also needed for reading. Um,
right, right,
so basically, you had a bunch of kids, around about 60. You said there was about 50 in this
right,
past year who weren't funded, and maybe about 10
right.
who had the integration funding. And you had a bunch of
That's
ISAs or
correct.
teacher aides to direct, because obviously you couldn't do all that work. So you had
Right,
to
that's
find
right.
something that they could then run with relatively
That's
little
right.
training and direction from you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that was the dilemma to find. And
Yeah.
when I did find a program, it was we could get one program, but I needed 8, 9. It was thousands and thousands of dollars, and
Okay.
we just don't have that kind of funding. I mean, eventually we could, but it would take several years to get that kind of program. So we need something that we could access online. Like yours is Understanding Words is great because we can access it through like an ebook.
So,
Hmm.
with your teacher aides, how have they been using the program? Have they been running it one-on-one in small groups?
Sure,
How's it
sure.
been working?
Um, Well, what we do is in the morning, that's when we do our reading programs. So we have 18 classes. And at the end of the year, we reassess all the kids. We do a pre-test of understanding words and we do the post-test at the end of the year, along with some other tests the grays, the PAT, we do some other ones as well
Mm,
with that, the non-reading as well.
yeah.
And then what we do is we organize the children in specific reading groups. They don't know what level they're on, because some of the older kids might be with some of the younger kids, but
Mhm.
we make it so that they don't know what level they're on. But we don't do it too much of a discrepancy. It might be like a third grader with a fourth grader, but we never put a
Sure.
fourth grader down with a grade 2 child.
Okay. Yeah.
We would do that child individual. But what we do is then we meet with the ISAs and we structure out the groups. And so it's 5 days a week, 4 or 5, depending on PE, Japanese, music lessons.
Sure.
But we do it 4 to 5 days a week, and every ISA has a room. Now, some of the rooms are large rooms, some of them are medium, and some of them are quite small. Now, the small rooms, then we take into account you only can have 3 kids instead of 4 kids.
Right.
But we try to not get it above 4. Since I'm the main teacher, I take a few more. I take 7, 8. I had 9
Okay.
in one group. That's too big, in
Wow.
my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it depends on the group of kids, but we try to keep it down to 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that we've been doing the program and we're finding success, we have less students in the program. Yoo-hoo.
Okay. So for the coming year, because you used it all for all of 2011, um, so for
And 2010.
2012, okay. So you've been using it for a couple of years. So for
All right.
2012,
So we started out with 70. Last year we had 50. This year we'll probably have 35 to 40.
okay.
So because intervention, we've gotten them younger and intervention, so we're dismissing children. This program works just as well with the children with severe learning needs, the SWD, students with disabilities, as the children with dyslexia. It's kind of an arbitrary number of what kids we fund and don't, but it
Sure.
seems to be helping all the children.
Hmm.
I've seen gains in every student that were helped with understanding words, and we've been really, really happy with the program.
So it's kind of regardless of intellectual ability, with the right kind of teaching, and you're giving it to them really intensely as well, which is probably, I think, intensity
Right, it's
is as
intense.
important as the quality. If you got good quality at low intensity, sometimes I think you may as well not bother.
That's
But
right.
but
That's
you've got
right.
both. You've trained your eyes, as most of them are happy providing the intervention using the program, and they're getting it 4 to 5 times a week, which is pretty impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And consistent as well. Instead of me having to buy an entire phonemic awareness program, which I've done, but I need 8 and 9 of them. I only have 2. And we're really diligent about copyright. That's a really important thing to respect that. So we might have 2 phonemic awareness programs, but I need 9 of them. And what's great about understanding words, it's already built into the program. Hmm.
So for a school, particularly a school with, I was going to say high needs, but in fact the number of kids you've got, or the percentage of the school population you're working with, is about normal. I mean, you take 10% of pretty much every school, and they would have
Right.
significant reading problems. But
Right.
when you've got that many kids, cost is a huge issue. So is that one of the
Yeah.
attractive factors with understanding words is it's actually cheap. It's affordable.
Yeah, I haven't found anything else comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Yeah.
How have your ISAs found using understanding words? Have they found it difficult or easy, and how much support have they needed?
Um, I have very capable ISAs. They did not find it difficult. Um, if there was a if there was a question during our Monday morning meetings, that's when we would hash it out. You know, what did you have problems with? Um, Sometimes I think when you get in the upper levels, it gets harder. So especially like in G, so we'd have to repeat the lesson, but we wouldn't necessarily repeat that lesson. We would just repeat those concepts. So um, such as I remember staying a lot on the suffixes like shuns, S-I-O-N and T-I-O-N. We stayed on that lesson for quite a few weeks because those skills it gets harder, of course, as each level you go up. So, but no, they didn't have any difficulties with it.
But you found using the ISAs or the teacher aids was an effective way of delivering the instruction? And
Yes,
obviously cost
highly.
effective. I'm assuming that you would have had no chance of delivering this level of intensity to these kids if you were having to use specialist teachers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I feel the ISAs enjoyed it. I got great feedback and we're all really close. I think that helps too, that collaboration. I mean, they're just as much as a teacher as I am. You know, the kids don't even know who's the teacher and who's the ISA. So that's great. There's a lot of respect there. And I think the ISAs really enjoyed as well. They see the improvement in the kids and the enthusiasm. Some of these kids have came to the school from other countries as well and quite depressed. You could see that cultural change. We have kids from, I think, all the continents, you know, except the one below us, you know, Antarctica. That's about it, you know. So they, you have that culture shock as well. And here they come to a small group. It's a positive. It's focusing on what they know and building on what they know. And you can see that joy in learning coming back to them. And you can see really as a result, their self-esteem improves.